Hello, and welcome to another episode of Women's Health and Vitality Unleashed. I am your coach. I am Coach Dr. Ann. I am a double board certified physician and the author of Patient Empowerment 101, More Than a Book, It's an Adventure. And I am the creator of the patientworld.net platform. So, for you ladies who have an interest in learning about your hormones and learning how you can take your natural health journey to the next level, I just started a new series of masterclasses. And so, if you want to sign up, they're free. Just go to patientworld.net backslash masterclass BBB for brains, body, and business. So I am pleased to have today Ms. Lisa Bonino. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So let's get started. First, tell people a little bit about your background.
Definitely. I am an emotional activator, and I do identity work. And hidden fragments of myself has been a common theme in my early life. And
Mhm.
one of those hidden fragments was emotional expression because of the environment I was raised in. And so now I've taken that passion and I teach other individuals the vitality around emotional expression.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about your story and why that matters to you.
So within one thing many people don't know about me is that I was raised in a cult. And at 19, I left this cult. This cult was started by an Australian man in the 1800s. And emotional expression was not something that was sought after in this environment.
Mhm.
Individualism wasn't sought after. So, what this did over time is it had me suppress and numb and take all of my emotions and quiet them. And I've taken that and until I started doing body somatic work and helping with the memory inside of my body, that's when I started to see a change in all of these fragments of myself. And that's what I help my clients with as well, so that they can live fully in their vitality.
Wow, I cannot begin to fathom, what that was like for you. Can you tell us more about the real impact of numbing, what it does to you?
So the hidden cost of numbing is it could be in a moment of you're in the office and
Mhm.
you feel some anger or frustration. Maybe you thought you had one task and you have multiple tasks to do.
Mhm.
And you say, "Oh, I don't have time to feel that." So you numb it down. And then you get home, your daughter spills milk on the floor. I don't have time to even get frustrated with her. Like, let me just get her a new cup of milk and be done. So what this does over time, this numbing and telling yourself, "I don't have time to feel." First, it abandons a side of you that is your human side, which is your emotions, right? And secondly, over time, is stored in the body. And it's stored in the body and it builds up, builds up, builds up. And you hear the stories where that person, quote unquote, went off. So
Mm.
when you have this buildup of emotions, suddenly you just go off. It's your maybe your last straw. And so that is a signal from the body telling you, hey, you haven't been paying attention to how I actually feel. Oftentimes we tell ourselves, I don't have time, but underneath of that is a discomfort, not comfortable with sitting with discomfort. And when you're constantly numbing these emotions over time, that's how it affects the body. And that's where I come in with the body work and versus the mind, the logic, moving into the memory of the body so that we could reparent ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And have this new relationship with our emotions.
Okay. So, how do women typically suppress or numb themselves? Some common ways.
hmm Common ways women normally suppress themselves. One is this is a big one. If you're a mother and you're listening to this or watching, mom's guilt. So this has become a societal norm. A mom should feel guilty if insert anything that she does for herself and not for her family. These are all things that were conditioned over time. So this is one situation where the mother may put the things she desires, her identity, on the back burner to tend to her children versus having the time, taking 5 to 10 minutes to tend to her own well being. And
Mm-hmm.
that enhances the well being of the home, the children, the spouse, your family, and your relationships all around you. Another situation where numbing really, really affects the entire vitality of a woman's life is when you want to be in full control all the time. And I had a client, she was an engineer and she was finally getting a leadership role at her work, and she wanted to be in so much control, and it was given the way it was coming through the body is she was feeling all kinds of shakes and her chest would go tight and she would shake her legs and her throat will go tight. And this was a sign we uncovered as we unraveled some of the threads there that with the rewiring is she was holding down all of these emotions that gave this pseudo sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, it just all suppressed in her body. And when we started to unravel this, we found out she had not a lot of confidence in the unknown. So once she was able to see, oh, there's been plenty of situations I've been in the unknown and I've been okay, she was able to start to express that emotion in a healthy way and sense when she was feeling control or when she was in a very trusting state. So that's another example of that emotional expression and what it does to the body when you numb it.
There is definitely a strong connection between how we think, the brain, and how we react, even to the point of people ending up in the hospital because of dealing with emotional things. I don't know how many people I've admitted to the hospital over the course of 2 decades. That after all the expensive testing and all of these things, it really came down to emotions. And that's not saying that the pain is not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's very real. When
Mm-hmm.
you're going through certain things and your body responds in such a way that it's hard to distinguish between something potentially very serious medically and
Mm-hmm.
just a physical manifestation of what you are dealing with inside,
Mm-hmm.
that is very profound, and it has a huge impact. And I hate to stereotype it, typically women,
Mm-hmm.
because men, they just kind of think differently. So men likely are not as likely to hold things in as much. They're more likely, I guess, to express their thoughts. And women are often told, we need to um, kind of rein in our thoughts. We don't want to be perceived in a certain way. So I think that society also has a role to play in how women deal with what they're feeling, what they're going through. So, numbing, and shutting down, I can see that easily having a huge impact, on
Mm-hmm.
people's lives. So, what does wellness and vitality look like to you from that standpoint?
From that standpoint, what wellness and vitality looks like is catching yourself. There's moments that you're telling yourself, "I don't have time to feel." When you become more knowledgeable and have more information and start integrating that information into your body about how it's affecting your body every single time you tell yourself you don't have time to feel, that then you can move towards that more fulfilling vitality in your life versus just being the bystander, just scrolling on social media, seeing people overcome these different things and wondering, can I do it too? Knowing you can do it too, but just not wanting to sit with that discomfort. You're just so familiar. If you're so familiar with just numbing, you're going to choose what's familiar, even if it's not good for you. And one situation where you continually do that over and over, that affects the vitality of your life over time. And I've had experiences like that with my clients where they too, what you were referring to, Dr. Ann, where they will come to us or come to me. And when we would get to the core of it, it was a story that was running rapid, rent free in their mind. And once we were able to start unraveling that, the numbing, there was no desire to numb anymore. And our homeostasis is our body's home, goes back to what's familiar, even if like I said, it doesn't serve us. So one of the ways to start moving into that more vital life is tracking the areas where you feel that discomfort and letting that be a sign to move forward, not a sign to stop. And that's the mystical illusion. Oh, it feels uncomfortable. That means I stop.
Mhm.
No, it feels uncomfortable. Do I want what's on the other side of that discomfort? No, I don't. Okay, then move another direction. Do I want what's on the other side of that discomfort? Yes. So move towards that discomfort. And that's where the somatic work comes in to help your body. Because logically, you can tell yourself, I've been here before. I know how to do this. Why do I keep reaching the same exact block here? But your body has memory that's stored there as well. And that's what, through the somatics, we work through and we start to uncover that for a more vital life.
So that kind of all this kind of reminds me of when you're flying, and the stewardess says, if we have problems with the pressure in the cabin, and the masks come down, put yours on first. How are
Mm-hmm.
you going to help your child if you've already passed out? And so that's something that unfortunately we don't take to heart too often. As women, we often are so focused on what we feel like we're supposed to be doing, and we
Mm-hmm.
don't practice self-care. We don't focus enough on ourselves, and as a result, over time, as that builds up, it can have not only emotional manifestations but physical manifestations, and you know even financial ones. For going back to the cases when persons admitted to the hospital, they may have a huge hospital bill, and it wasn't a heart attack. It came in looking, smelling, and feeling like a heart attack, but oh, this is what's really going on. When
Mm-hmm.
you miss work, repeatedly miss work, and potentially lose your job because of feeling sick, feeling all of these things that are wound up inside of you and not being able to unravel or release them, that
Yeah,
can have a tremendous impact on your ability to work. It can have an impact, of course, on your relationships. And
absolutely.
so it's so important that, particularly we as women, are able to unwind, unravel, and deal with a lot of the issues before us in a productive way.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what you do because I've seen the other side, what happens when women don't go through the stages to unravel and deal with what's really going on inside. So what can a woman listening do differently to start a shift?
Absolutely. And I, in my work, I like to keep it very simple. As you have, as women, men, everyone, we have multiple things that we're balancing all at one time. So, one way to absolutely start digging into this side of you where you may be laying doormat is to start reparenting your own emotions. A lot of us were conditioned, be quiet, stay quiet, do this, be nice. And so over time, it's like, it's my voice. Am I not supposed to express myself? Like, what's going on here? Too emotional is a common thing you hear amongst women, versus if a man is more emotional, it's like, oh, he's a great leader, he's a passionate leader. So
Yeah.
it's taking ownership and taking that authority back in that area, reparenting yourself with your emotions. It could be as simple as taking 5 minutes out of your day, sit down. Oh, I feel so uncomfortable right now. What just happened? What was the trigger? What triggered me? Oh my gosh, that made me think of when I was 5 years old and this happened and and let the stories come up. Let the stories all come out and just sit with it for 5 minutes and just breathe into it and feel that discomfort, knowing that the discomfort is temporary, and then let it fade away. So that's a simple way that you, as the listener, can go home right now and start implementing this into your life. It doesn't have to be a huge shift in your schedule where you have to carve out an hour, a half an hour. Start small. And after a while, your homeostasis again, your body starts to get used to this new way of being, this new pattern, and it becomes your normal way of being. Another way you can direct this is like direct exactly full frontal, is recognizing with the discomfort. And then also, whenever you have these emotions, not shaming yourself, just observing them. You don't have to absorb the emotions. Just observe. If you're scrolling and maybe you're gossiping about someone else versus paying attention to your own energy, just observe. But don't judge or absorb it or become critical of the self. You're allowed to just observe, that's so interesting that I feel really triggered by this thing that just happened. That makes me feel really bad. And that's one that those are two ways that you can directly take care of this as well.
Okay. So that's great advice. So, what advice, if you could leave one specific thought or piece of information with the listeners today, what would it be?
Authentic. Be authentic to you. So you're running around, you're helping your mother, your father, your uncle, your aunt, you're making them blueberry muffins and apple pies, and you're doing all these things for the people around you. You're over giving, and then you forget about being authentic to you. So just like you hear, be kind to people, you are people. You are a person too. So be kind to yourself, and abandoning yourself, abandoning your emotions, constantly sitting in discomfort is the sitting in the discomfort is a way to start coming back to you, coming back to who you were before all the programming that told you that you were too much. So authentic, not just to those around you, but being authentic to yourself as well and sitting in that discomfort.
Okay. All right, great. Lisa, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Absolutely. So, one way to reach out to me is there's a podcast that I'm on. It's called The Shift TV. So, and then SHIFT TV. And then also on Instagram, Lisa underscore identity shift. Those are two ways that you can find me and where I'm most visible.
Okay, that sounds great. I
Mhm.
thank you so much for being on the show and for imparting your wisdom. And again, for ladies who just want to have a free masterclass on kind of resetting your hormones naturally and making a natural shift to improve your vitality, I do welcome you to sign up. The masterclasses are free. You would go to patientworld.net/masterclass BBB for brain, um, body, and business. So again, patientworld.net/masterclass BBB. If you miss the upcoming one, which is actually in a couple of days, just you can still leave your email and we'll get back with you when the one in July is scheduled. So we look forward to our next session together. And by all means, reach out to Lisa. She has a wealth of information to share with you. And you all have a very blessed day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.